Another way you can be able to help you get a difficult intubation, we discussed positioning of the patient. Okay, whether that's 30 degrees, whether that's elevating so it's the tragus is even with the clavicle, especially for obese patients, whether that's faces parallel with the ceiling. We have to position ourselves as well though. Okay, and as I insert the blade and I flip the tongue over, and I look, we see this all too often, almost nose to nose. And guys, this is also potentially a mistake. Okay, sometimes what you need to do to just simply see it, because you're over the top of it too much, and remember, is back yourself up, lower yourself down. Back yourself up and lower yourself down, because it's all about line of sight. My line of sight needs to see the trachea, not the back of the throat. Another thing that you may want to try, and this probably has more to do with when we're talking about switching Mack and Miller techniques with both of the blades, is consider with somebody who has very deep cords. And you'll know what I'm talking about if you've ever experienced this. Very deep cords. You have a 3 and you can't see it. You get a 4 and you're not sure you can still see it. Another little technique you can do is, again, flip it to where the handle goes to the left. You lift, bury it, all the way, bury it. Okay? Slowly retract, and a lot of times, and see if you can catch this, slowly retract, and then a lot of times the cords will just pop right in front. I'll do it again. Slowly retract, and boom, cords will flop right in front of you. Okay, and that's slowly retracting. One more shot and come over this way if you could, please. Double check yourself. I still think that people are out there who have a bad habit of wanting to pull back. And how do I know whether I've got the right hand? I know I'm holding the wrong hand, but I'm showing you for the camera, okay? If the gap is in between the bottom of the blade and the bottom teeth, you're yanking, you're pulling back, and you're in danger of pulling the teeth, and you're not allowing yourself to see the cords. This is the worst sight line you can give yourself. Double check yourself. The gap needs to be between the top teeth and the blade, right here, and you know that you've got correct and good technique. If the gap is between the blade and the bottom teeth, you need to reevaluate what's going on. EMTs, this is important for you because you're going to be able to see over the top. And that's where it's going to be important for you to go, hey man, gap is in the wrong spot. All right, move on to the bougie. The bougie, you know, we talked about some BLS backups, and bougie wasn't mentioned. It's being mentioned now because we're going to use it for facilitating an intubation. The bougie was, you're going to see it in 2 different styles. This is the actual traditional gum elastic bougie. It's got the marks on it right here, and the 2 hash marks, or the 20 centimeter hash mark, is the important point because you're going to hold right above that, and you're going to drop, and that's the depth that you need to be at the teeth when you start to employ the tube over it. Okay, it's got something called a coude tip, which is a tip that keeps the stick anterior. These things were designed for people, say, in the ICU who are going to be intubated for long periods of time, and as opposed to having to re-intubate them, they would drop this over underneath the tube, or I'm sorry, inside the tube, pull the old ET tube out, put the new ET tube on, and remove, and you're good to go. They have now, for the past couple of years, been employed by people to, you know, get difficult intubations. The other style that you may see is called the pocket bougie, and the difference between the two is this is kind of a PVC plastic, you know, this is actually Teflon coated. What does that mean? Well, the tube can slide over this much easier, and you can look at the differences. This comes as a flat stick, and if you don't store this as flat, and if you store it curled up, it will break on you, especially in the Florida heat. This one's designed to be coiled, and it's called the pocket bougie because you can put it in your side pocket. Also, on both sides, it's kind of either side, doesn't matter which one you use, because you can see that the hash mark number 2 is on either side. It's got 2 coude tips, and it's already coiled. What's the benefit of this, though? Well, you want to pull this out when you can see maybe just the bottom of the cords, or just, like, I don't know if you can get a shot of that, but just, you know, maybe the arytenoid cartilage, or just a little bit of the cords, all right? Now, if I put the tube in, because of the diameter of the tube, I may lose sight, like we were talking about if you drop the tube straight. But this little stick, I can see, I can see it go through. The other benefit of the bougie here is that I can also use it for a blind insertion intubation. Now, what is that? How am I going to do that? Well, essentially, you'll always be able to see the epiglottis, but may not be able to see the cords. And you know the cords are just beyond the epiglottis. So the idea is start out holding this kind of like a pencil, but then I want you to take your back finger, your pinky and or ring, and I want you to be able to put it underneath the stick so you can see this anterior pressure that I'm able to exhibit. Okay? You still need the blade. So as I go in, I want to back it up to where I can at least see the epiglottis. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this stick, I'm going to place this bougie in. And the idea is if this is my epiglottis, I'm going to put the stick underneath midline. Mind you, now understand this is the trick. Midline, if I place this in going a little too left or a little too right, it's almost guaranteed one-way shot to the esophagus, so remember that. But as I place this underneath the esophagus, I want to go ahead and advance while giving anterior pressure, not allowing the stick to drop at the last second to go into the trachea, or the esophagus rather, but that I'm actually exhibiting anterior pressure so it scrapes the top of the epiglottis and traces right into the cords. Now once I'm in, or I think I'm in at least, and I place this, how do I know, if I can't see, how do I know I'm in the right spot? Well, all you have to do is gently rock the stick back and forth, and you should be able to feel the vibrations in the stick, the little clicks of the tracheal rings. That's how I know I'm in. If you rub the stick back and forth into the airway, and you're at the 20 centimeter hash mark right next to my finger, and you feel nothing but smoothness, you're in the esophagus, and you need to restart. Talk about pitfalls. Now, the first mistake most people make when using a bougie is that once they place this in the right position, they take the blade out. The problem here is that, if I can get assistance, please. I'm holding the stick and I've got somebody to place the tube over and give it to me. He's going to hold the top, and now what's going to happen is I'm going to try to place the tube in, but you may get this problem. The reason is because I let all that soft tissue drop down onto the stick and it will not allow me to push the tube. So please remember to keep the blade in at all times, so as I start to bring it in, we're okay. Most of the time it should pass with no problem. However, if I still have the blade in, it won't go. A lot of times it won't go because of the bevel of the tube itself. What does that mean? Well, remember that...
Hold on.
Remember that if these are my cords, the stick doesn't magically suspend like anti-gravity field, it lays down. So as I place the tube in, because of the bevel angled, okay, and now they're actually making tubes where the bevel is on the bottom so it slides right in, and that's great. But if you're still using a traditional ET tube where the bevel is cut to the right, then this will catch on the bottom of the arytenoid cartilage, or it could be catching on the false cords on either side. So how do I fix that? I communicate with my partner up top and I say, we're gonna move to the right, 1, 2, 3, and we both tilt to the right so the tube can ride up into the cords, okay? Troubleshooting problem. Now, once I have that done and I've got everything in, and then he's gonna go ahead and pull, I'm gonna hold, and then everything else is gravy. You fill it up, you put your capnography on, everything is fine and dandy. And that's pretty much how you use the bougie to facilitate a difficult intubation.